So do you want to summarize your claim recently that you made last week?
Yeah, it's not my claim actually. Just looking at the media and seeing what they are giving us information regarding what's happening with the grooming from Oxford to Leicester, from Loughborough to Slough, also part of the world, approximately over 40 places. And until end of 2015, 177 people have been convicted as who took part in grooming. And it came on the news as this is Pakistan Asian community issue, especially the Pakistani issue. But when you look at the people who've been kind of convicted, 177 names, you see most of those names are Muslim names, and most of those people go to the church, go to the mosque, celebrate the Eid. They encourage those girls who are from age 11 to 16 to read the Quran. So I guess I'm saying because Islam is giving very low view of women, and in one sense Surah 24:33 is supporting slave girls can put into the prostitution, I'm saying actually it is not Pakistan Asian community issue. In somehow it is a Muslim issue.
Okay, so would you like my response? So the claim is that with grooming, with Muslim grooming, that it's a Muslim issue, and you're saying that you've got statistics and Loughborough and all that. So what I looked at the Child Online Protection Service, and they said that when it comes to Asian grooming, it accounts for about 28% of all cases, and in fact they said 415 people from 2008 until 2012 were involved in grooming. That's 415. Of the 415, according to the Child Online Protection Service, 40 were either Pakistani or Bangladeshi. That is to say, from 415, 40, which is 10% or less than 10%, were Muslim. So when we say Asian grooming gangs, we should be very specific, because actually the majority of Asians, according to the Child Online Protection Service survey, and that is the most reliable data that almost all the outlets are actually using, according to that particular survey, 40 out of 415 people that were involved in grooming were actually Muslim. So now what does that show? It shows that as a proportion, it does not constitute an over-proportionate representation of the Muslim community, considering census data, because census data in 2011 showed that there was about 4.8 to 4.9% Muslims in this country, in the UK. I'm not talking about England and Wales, that's a different figure of 5.5%. I'm talking about the UK generally, which the figure is 4.8, 4.9%. So if we're talking about how many people are involved in grooming, according to the Child Online Protection Service statistics, it's not disparate or it's not disproportionate when you compare it to the population figures. Point one. To point two, which is another important point, grooming, defined by the dictionary, is something like is exploiting someone, usually a child, for sexual purposes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
So what he's saying is that it's not, so you're saying like but he's saying that's not the case. But so my thing is to clarify what you're saying, and is there a problem with what you're saying in terms of, so if you're saying it's a Muslim issue, is that then it's like, because I've seen people accuse you of why is it important that
what I'm saying is that, sorry, the figures don't indicate that it's a Muslim issue.
So you're saying, okay,
So I'll give you the name of the places, and then I'll give you the names, and then you help me to understand. Oxford, Barking, Temple, Harrow, Northampton, Swansea.
What about those places?
Stevenage, Derby.
Yeah.
Derby, Bristol, Bradford, Leicester, Slough, Blackpool, Leeds, Aylesbury, Bury, Coventry, Hyde, Wycombe, Headington, Newcastle, and then it goes on over 40 places.
Yeah, okay.
I'm especially talking about those grooming gangs who has been active since last 10 years. I think.
Okay.
I don't remember the full names.
But can you refute my statistics? Because I've just given you statistics.
So
yes.
There are 177 people have been convicted and put in prison until end of 2015. Okay?
Pardon?
Until end of 2015, 177 people. I'll give you the names, I'll give you some of the names, and then the dates. For example, from Oxford, Mustafa Ahmed, 26 years old. Bilal Ahmed.
There's a lot of names. I mean, there's.
27 years old.
Do you mind if Hatun? Yeah, sorry.
So 177 names, and
Yeah.
14 people
Yeah.
do not contain the Muslim.
Hatun, if you don't mind me just making making a point here, is that you're mentioning names of Muslim people that are involved in grooming. 38%, which is the largest constituent of people, according to the Child Online Protection Services that actually conduct grooming, are white people. So you could have said Mark Anthony, or you could have said John Smith. I mean, it doesn't really matter. So long as what I'm saying is not being refuted here.
I'm not talking about all the groomings. I'm especially talking about the Asian community grooming.
Yeah, okay. Why are you?
Community.
Yeah, but Hatun, what, can you try and listen to?
We did a video.
Yeah, no.
I said no, don't, because you know what, they hate preachers. I'm sorry, Mohammed, don't carry on, because you came to me. We've done a video on this. Okay, don't, because they're getting views, and you know why? These people's hate is causing innocent Muslims to get attacked on the streets.
And
Don't leave it. I'm telling you. As a brother,
give me a chance.
We've done a video tackling grooming gangs.
Yeah, we've done a video.
Do you know what? That's why.
Let me finish off what I'm saying. Let me finish off one thing I'm going to say, and then we're going to finish it off, yeah? There are a few misconceptions here. One, and I've made this on the video that's going to be on Ali Dawah's channel, because it is a misconception. I feel that sociological, basically academic, you could say bias is being put to use here. First and foremost, I've just said to you that yes, there is an Asian, if you want to say there's an Asian problem, that could be substantiated with the statistics. But you have to understand that 7% of this country is Asian, yeah? 7%. 5% is Muslim. So there are more Asians than Muslims in this country, point one. Point two, the Asians are overrepresented in the statistics. The Muslims, I am arguing, are not necessarily overrepresented. Now let me just, one more point. Point three, even if they were, it's very well known in sociology and all these things that there's a difference between correlation and causality. I'll give you an example to drive the point home. You're a black person, yeah? If you go to maybe your community in North London or South London or wherever it may be, and you do a survey on on knife crime, you will find that in your area, black people are they're most susceptible to falling into this crime. Does that mean it's because of their race? Now, if you say it is, then that's essentially racism, right? The reason why, let me just finish up. One more point, sorry, one more point. The reason why it isn't, why correlation doesn't equal causality in all cases, is, for example, let me give you an example, yeah? We get a sample group of...
Sorry, before we go into the causality, I need to clarify something.
Yeah.
I want Hatun to respond. Hatun, he's saying that it's not an Asian issue, it's not a Muslim issue, and it's more of an Asian issue. And also, so let me finish. So my thing is that why is it important for you to highlight that it's a Muslim issue, first of all? Secondly, I want you to respond, because naturally they're saying that they're accusing you that this is going to propagate hate, yeah? So surely if you're highlighting this as a Muslim thing, can that not propagate hate towards Muslims?
So, first of all, I'm talking about the Pakistani community grooming gangs.
Yeah.
So we are not talking about the same thing first. But when you look at all those names, when you hear the people's testimony, they give it at the court, there is none of them are Buddhist. None of them are Pakistani Buddhist or Asian
Pakistani Buddhist.
There is none of them are Pakistani atheists.
You have Indian Hindus. You have Indian Hindus. The majority of, but Hatun.
Yeah, right. So there is none of them are Pakistani Christian. They are all Pakistani Muslims. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Well, that's not true actually. There's 96% of Pakistanis is Muslim. There's 4% non-Muslim.
77 names.
Yeah.
Only 14 names and 14 people who are not identified as Muslim. So I'm saying.
So why are we talking about Pakistanis for? They only constitute 35 of the 415 Asians.
One of the things you did is this is a Pakistani Asian community problem.
But it's not substantiated with the statistics.
I'm standing here saying, actually, sadly, there is not Pakistani Buddhist, there is not Pakistani Hindu, there is not Pakistani Christian, there is not Pakistani atheist.
Hatun, I understand your point.
There are all Pakistani Muslims. And when you look at them, because they are all Muslims, so you want to see what is it drawing them.
Yes.
And then you go
Fine.
to the Islamic sources
Hatun.
and then you see,
Okay,
because Islam
right,
gives
fine.
law view
Hatun,
of
thank
the
you,
woman.
thank you for
I
that.
haven't finished it.
Oh, sorry, but I just
Because
wanted to make a
Islam
point.
gives law view to the woman.
Okay, yeah.
Therefore, Muslim thinks it's all right to practice those things.
Okay. Now,
Okay, so what's your response?
my response
to
is
the
that,
fact that it's related
look,
to Islam?
you have to understand something. I've just presented statistics from one of the most authoritative bodies on this particular issue, and I've just said to her, from 2008 to 2012, that's a 4-year longitudinal framework here that we can actually analyze. 415 people of the 1,700 people that committed grooming atrocities, those individuals were Asian. 450. Hold on, please. I'm speaking now. Let me finish. I'm saying that 415 of those individuals were Asian. Of the 415, 35 were Pakistani, which is less than 10%. So when you're saying there's no Pakistani Hindus or Pakistani atheists, I don't care about that, because the Asian bracket includes Hindus, includes Indian Hindus.
Okay, I get that point.
Now, I wanted to make another point, please,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, yeah?
Yes.
Do you mind if I speak? All right, so what I wanted to say was that grooming is a very bad problem, but there are
Does
other...
it relate to Islam?
No, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't.
Hatun is making a claim that it relates to
But yeah,
Islam.
let me
So it
respond to that. But before, because I don't need to defend this, because there's no evidence of it from a, first of all, correlative perspective or even a causality perspective. You haven't presented any. You haven't presented any statistics to make me convinced that this is a Muslim problem. Moreover, can I tell you something? Yeah, you're a Muslim. You're a Muslim. You're a black woman. Yeah. You should know that in America, more than 70% of the population is Christian. In fact, in the Bible Belt, there are conservative Christians. In that area, according to according to the Bureau of National Statistics in America, 50%, okay, of human trafficking. Excuse me. Let me finish. Let me finish. You can't. Do you mind if I finish off what I was about to say? 50% of. Excuse me.
Sorry, let me just
Please. Let me finish my. Do you mind,
wait.
sister?
I want to rephrase.
I'm just limited.
Can you find the action?
Right, listen.
Can you find it in the example of the Prophet or in the
Sira,
Quran?
please, sister. I'm trying to make a point.
Go ahead.
My point I'm making is that in America, 70% of the population is Christian. Human trafficking is worse than grooming, because human trafficking is slave trade, okay? And it's using rape. Whereas grooming involves a kind of element of consent. I'm not saying, especially when you're talking about raping young girls, it's different to when young girls consent. Hold on.
Okay, so we're not talking
Hold
about
on,
human
please.
trafficking, or we're
Why?
just
Hold on. I'm saying
Yeah.
exploitation or sexual exploitation is the umbrella term under which grooming and human trafficking and rape and all these things
okay,
fall
so
under.
we can talk about
So if you don't mind me just making a
Yeah.
point here,
Go ahead.
that in America, 50%, according to the Bureau of National Statistics, 50% of all human trafficking happens with underage people. And 77% of those cases are with non-white people. In other words, black people, Hispanics, etc. Who is doing it? They are Christian white men. So why don't we ask you the question? Because we have stronger statistics here that actually suggest, I could say that, Deuteronomy 31:18, here it's talking about slave girls. Okay, the same link can be made. I'm asking you now, how can you prove that the Bible is not being used in the Bible Belt to justify human trafficking just as it was being used 100 years ago to justify slavery?
I think that's a good question.
Thank you, sir.
So I want Hatun to respond, because what he's saying is that sexual exploitation relates to Christians, right, and Christianity. We're going to come back to that point. Just we're coming to for her to respond to that.
But for me, that's more damning
Sorry,
statistics.
Okay, no
Yeah.
problem.
Yes.
But the question is, does grooming? So Hatun, how does grooming relate to Islam and Muslims?
I don't know who made that question. I think you just said that question. No. The point is that's a question that I don't. The premise is not supported in any way, shape, or form. I don't need to defend that.
Right,
You need to defend, because look, 77% of white men in America, yes, are raping black women and East Asian women. Why are they doing that? Is it because of Christianity? It's a Christian nation.
So
Yes.
what I was talking about grooming, yeah.
Well, grooming and human trafficking are very similar.
You're making the claim that Christians do grooming or whatever. Is that the claim you're making?
No, I'm making a more severe claim than that. I'm saying this
Okay.
is whatever statistics you can provide.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay.
Whatever statistics you can provide for the fact that Muslim Asians or Muslim Pakistanis do grooming, I can provide you more damning statistics that Christians in America are doing human trafficking, which is a form of slavery.
Okay, no problem.
Slavery still exists.
Can you respond whether grooming is related to Islam? And I want first of all,
I know you're trying to dictate the terms of the discussion, but here you've left it down in the minds of
I'll
people.
come back to your point. I'll come back to your point.
So, first of all,
my question.
I'm talking about the Asian community grooming, which has been on the media. That's what we are talking about.
Okay, well, if it's on the media, it doesn't make it true.
We are not talking about what's happening in America, what's happening in
Why not?
other places. So, when it comes to this Catholic priest who abuse the girls, it went on the news as those are the Catholic priests. But when those Muslims who abuse the girls and groom them, it went on the news as they are Asian community problem. That's Pakistani community.
It depends
problem.
on what news you're talking about.
It did not come.
Depends on what news.
It did not come on the news as this is Muslim problem.
No, two headlines said Muslim.
Community. So,
Hatun, why is this important as it relates to Islam?
so, when we look at the Quran tells women why they need to cover. You need to cover because you need to protect yourself.
Same thing in
Surah
Corinthians,
33,
same thing in the Bible.
Surah 33 verse 59.
Yeah, you shave your hair off.
You don't want to be abused. You don't want to be abused. And what happens is,
What's this got to do with grooming?
if you are not covered, that means you are giving line that man can abuse you. For example, this lady can be abused because she's not covered. But you couldn't go and abuse this lady because she's covered. That's two examples.
Who said that?
That's two examples. Surah 33 verse 59.
Well, it says that you can abuse non-covered women.
Surah
This is a lie,
33
miss.
verse 59 sports
So you're saying
and
that...
also,
Hatun. Okay.
Also, Quran gives a high view of Muslim and less view of non-Muslims. For example, Muslims are the best of the people ever raised up for mankind. Jews and Christians are the worst of creatures. Allah does not love unbelievers. Those kind of verses.
Okay.
And then it goes on. We look at the life of Muhammad. Actually, before that, we've got Surah 4 verse 24. The context of the revelation is given. This is regarding the sex slaves.
So Hatun, what's this got to do with grooming?
Those ladies are being raped in front of their husbands, and Muhammad says that's all right.
Okay.
So
all right. So
let me make my last point.
Do you want to make your last
When
point?
you look at the Surah 24 verse 33, you see girls can sex slaves. Girls can be sold into prostitution. Islam gives very low to the non-Muslims. Therefore, when the things happen in the grooming community, with the grooming gangs, that on the news, because we don't want to offend Muslims, we say, oh, that's an Asian Pakistani issues. But as I said, none of those people are Pakistani Buddhists, none of those people are Pakistani Hindu, none of those people are Pakistani atheists or Pakistani Christians. They are all Pakistani Muslims.
All right. So it seems. Yeah.
You know the point you're talking about. So if you can look at it, it's on my list, okay, about Christianity and the Bible. But I want you to have a chance to respond to this. She's, for example, mentioned some examples in the Quran and in the Hadith and Muhammad Hijab.
So basically,
all
right. So I'll do it really quickly. So the example that she gave in Surah Al-Ahzab, فَلَا يُؤْذَيْن, that it gives the فَلَا يُؤْذَيْن means so that they don't get harmed. So in other words, one of the reasons why women put on the headscarf or the covering is that they may not get harmed. It doesn't lead from that we should harm people who are not covered. There's nowhere it says that in the Quran, which is what she suggested. But anyways, but you know, it's I just said, I've given you time, so now it's my time to speak. What I'm saying here is, unfortunately here, you're conflating two issues which don't need to be conflated. We have a sociological case that requires analysis, statistical understanding, and I've given you statistical numbers that you can deal with. Unfortunately, here you haven't been able to deal with that. Here we're not talking about religion. We're talking about sociology and politics. And you have to understand, you've come here and you've asked me about grooming, and Muslim grooming. If there is a correlation between the reason why there's a large number of Muslims, or you're saying there's a large number of Muslims, which you've clarified, but a large number of Asians doing it and something to do with the Quran. I'm saying that there's, first and foremost, you haven't even established there's a correlation in order to talk about causation. Before you talk about causation, you must establish correlation. You can't even have causation without correlation. Now that's number one.
So Hatun is making the claim that it's, so for example, Surah 24:33 talks about Muhammad saying that you can give your sex slave for rape and for prostitution.
No, it doesn't say that. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie.
And then God will forgive you.
No, excuse me.
It says
Don't lie about.
do
Don't
it.
lie about the scripture in
Okay,
my presence, miss.
Okay, so that's what I want you to clarify.
Okay, no. Don't lie. Don't lie about.
I'm not lying about
Okay,
it.
you are.
We need to vote.
Yeah, no, hold on.
I'm not
Hold
making
on.
a
I'll
point.
give you the tafsir. Hold on. Listen, please.